Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, we want to welcome you to Common Grounds, where a lot can happen over coffee. My name is Aimee Henning, and I'm the president and CEO of the Greeley Area Chamber, proudly representing over 700 businesses in the Greeley area. We are working every day to do our level best to champion our business community and help you pivot and keep your business moving ahead. We want to take this moment to thank our Chairman Circle sponsors who support this platform and have allowed us to connect with over 30,000 viewers with these videos on Facebook. So I don't think I'm alone when I say I think we all took our restaurant and bar partners for granted before the crisis. Our ability to have food we love, a place to connect with community, and the convenience of our busy lives. We will never do that again, and we want you to succeed. And we have several of you on today. We're looking forward to connecting with you. We all know that during the pandemic, that there has been a devastating impact on the restaurant industry across the U.S. Roughly 150,000 restaurants have closed, according to the National Restaurant Association. And despite best efforts, orders have dropped as much as 60 to 70% for some businesses, maybe more. A recent Business Insider magazine article noted that over 3 million workers in the industry were out of work, with $25 billion lost, and audience is still not confident about getting out. So despite of the reality that we're facing, what daily helps me is the positive outlook that, and again, the Greeley grit that I know is present in each of the people on this call today. And it's showing through again in the way of our business owners finding solutions. Today, they'll tell you how they're shifting plans, finding new ways to do business, forming coalitions, and asking us to help and support with our partners at the city, DDA, and county, and projects like the Downtown Group. They have dealt with changing regulations, temporary shutdowns, and closures, and I'm sure their spirits are weary, but we count on them as the front door to our community. And thankfully for all of us, you all keep pushing forward. With so much happening in the last 4 months that has impacted our dreams, vision, and daily plans, everyone that is here as our guest today is helping our businesses find the way, or business owners who are shifting to accommodate their customer base, new projects, future plans. I'm joined by some tremendous community leaders and bar and restaurant owners and elected officials who will give you some insight into the process of owning a business, supporting a business that has been impacted by COVID in one way or another. If you're watching the show today, I want to have a call to action at each one of these before you leave us. Today, you're going to hear about business owners who are doing their best during some really extremely difficult times. Please support these restaurants by going in, ordering takeout, telling friends, ordering a gift card. They're so important to all of us, and there are so many different ways you can help them. You're also going to hear about a new fund run by Upstate and the county that we will be navigating our businesses from the Greeley Area Recovery Fund to, so we look forward to hearing about that from Rich and Scott today. Greeley is so lucky to have each of our special guests we have on the show here today. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick coffee check and welcome each one of them individually. City Councilman, business owner, and Mayor Pro Tem Dale Hall. Welcome, Dale. Nice to have you on the call this morning.
Good morning.
Scott James, Weld County Commissioner. Wonderful to have you on the show again.
Morning, Jamie.
Rich Werner, Upstate Colorado Economic Development. Good morning, Rich.
Good morning, everyone.
Aimee Hutson, local restaurant owner of Jerry J's Cakes and the beloved Aunt Helen's Coffee Shop. Welcome this morning, Aimee.
Morning.
Matt Larson, local restaurant owner of beloved Kenny's Steakhouse, a Greeley staple, and the new Goat Sports Bar just being open now. So good morning, Matt.
Good morning, everyone.
Nice to have you on the show. And Matt Estrin, one of Greeley's newest treasures, Tower 56 Distilling, and new adventures on the horizon. Welcome, Matt.
Morning. How's everybody doing?
Nice to have you on the show. Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. We're thrilled to have you with us, and I will go ahead and get started here. So our first guest today is Dale Hall. Dale serves on the Chamber's Board of Directors as well as Upstate Colorado's. He understands and is a business owner and longtime leader for Greeley. He previously served as a Weld County Commissioner and was elected to the Colorado Legislative House District 48, and now serves as our City Councilman and Mayor Pro Tem for Ward 4. Thanks for joining us, Dale. The floor is yours for your update this morning.
Well, thank you. And I'll try and keep mine short because I think the rest of everyone has some information that we're all be looking forward to. But at the city, we have information on our plate to work on the Greeley food tax renewal and Keep Greeley Moving renewal. That will potentially be on this year's ballot. As you probably should know, the Greeley food tax is 3% tax on unprepared food products. And that goes towards a lot of things such as facilities and street repairs and public building maintenance, that type of thing. Then the Keep Greeley Moving is a 0.65% sales tax, and that will be up for renewal. It's also not increasing anything. It's already in place. And that is what we use for major road expansions and repaving and those types of things. And then just yesterday, the Chamber Board looked at 3 ballot issues that are on the statewide ballot. And one of them is repeal of the Gallagher Amendment. And that would basically set the assessment rate for the residential property tax at 7.15%. And keep the commercial tax at 29%. And the chamber has voted, I hope I can say this, Jamie, but the chamber board has voted to support that. And then there'll be a paid family leave ballot issue. And that concerns me particularly, and it has concerned a lot of other people, but it's essentially a statewide 12-week paid family leave insurance, but it's funded 50% by employers and 50% by employees. So it's going to increase expenses both to the employers and to employees. And the chamber board voted yesterday to oppose that. And then the third one of note is the national popular vote referendum. And I think that makes really bad precedents where Colorado would no longer be that influential in the national election as we are now in the electoral vote process. And then the things that we're actually starting to talk about tonight will be the first blush of our budget for 2021. It's well over $360 million. We'll be talking about that, and I would pick up the budget that I have here in front of me, but it's a little heavy, so I can't hold it that long. But of those it'll take us a few months to get through the whole $362 million worth. Part of it is the capital improvement plan, which will also be discussed tonight. And that's $79 million worth of capital improvements throughout the city and various projects. And then we just got word on Monday, the CDOT is out for information on proposals that they're looking at for US 34 at 35th Avenue and 47th Avenue. And you can go online to the CDOT website. They've got 3 potential options to work with. 35th Avenue, as you know, has a little bit of a kink into it with that 28th Street kind of a frontage road at 35th Avenue. They got to figure out how to make that work. And then 47th Avenue is fairly straightforward, but they're still in the process of getting things working, and hopefully someday soon, once we get the plans all established, they'll actually come up with some money. So that's the other thing. The city of Greeley has its fair share of these intersections. We're just waiting for CDOT to earmark money from the CDOT budget. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Oh, looks like Jamie froze, so we'll just give this a minute to get her back online here.
Man, if only we had a radio host that could just take over with a great voice and really spearhead this interview. You know what I mean?
You know anybody?
I don't know anyone.
There might be a guy out there, but
Hey, team.
There she is.
And again, you never know what's going to happen during Chamber Coffee. Dale, did you get to finish giving your report?
I did, thank you.
Okay, good. Good. All right, Natisa, are we okay to roll ahead?
You are good to roll ahead.
We'll have a little edit. Okay, let me hop in here quick and pull up what I need to. Okay, here we go again. Our next guest this morning is County Commissioner Scott James, a familiar face and voice to two generations of Coloradans, an award-winning radio personality who's no stranger to public service. Before becoming commissioner, he also served as chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, member of Town Council, mayor of Johnstown. We're thrilled to have him with us today. I'll turn it over to you, Scott.
Thanks, Jamie. A couple of quick things from the county. We'll get into COVID here in a couple of minutes because a lot of folks want to know about the updates and some of the things we've done actually in enhanced data reporting. But let me make that last. First, I want to talk about the Weld County Recovery Fund. I know that'll be a bulk of the presentation here in a little bit. And I would certainly defer to the expertise of Rich Werner, who at Upstate Colorado is helping us manage that fund. But we're excited to put forward some of our CARES Act funding. I know that we have applications that close on the 30th of September. First round of funding should go out by October 31st, but more on that here in a couple of seconds. At the county, it's just not COVID that we're working on. We're busy putting together our comprehensive plan and our transportation plan. Of course, the comprehensive plan is our big conceptual land use plan, which will actually include a land use map this year. It's something new for Weld County. We continue to seek citizen input. In fact, we started 2020 knowing we were going to update our comprehensive plan. We wanted to make it a real interactive, fun thing that we would do with our citizens and kind of get them more involved in understanding how we put what we put where we put it. And of course, then COVID hit. And so we have done that to the best of our ability on calls just like this. We are heavily looking for involvement from folks on not only a comprehensive plan on land use planning and where they would like to see certain things, but on our transportation plan, their input on roadways, Weld2020vision.com. I would encourage, especially the folks who are most likely to consume this particular call, Weld2020vision.com. I think I'd read Weld2020vision.com is where folks could go to provide their input on that. We would certainly appreciate it. On the 11th of August, the Board of County Commissioners was very excited to reaffirm our support for NISP, for the Northern Integrated Supply Project. As we know, for Greeley and a lot of the surrounding communities, for a lot of the smaller communities in Weld County, NISP is going to prove vitally important to keeping the water flowing to our communities. This year, the NISP project earned a 401 water quality certification from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. It was a big hurdle for them to overcome. They're well on their way for continuing that project. And so Weld County and the Board of County Commissioners thoroughly supports the NISP project. So very important to some of our communities. Very excited to thank folks for their participation in the Weld County Fair. We did it in a closed to the public fashion this year. We kept with social distancing and we kept with the best practices of living in time of COVID. But we wanted to give our kids who participate in 4-H and FFA an opportunity to get out and show their wares and to show and sell their livestock. And we fell just a little bit short of last year. Our 2019 sale was $1.1 million, which makes it one of the largest sales in the county. Heck, it's only dwarfed by the National Western Stock Show here in Colorado. This year we fell a little short of that, but still an amazing sale at $1,062,000. We had a lot of folks there at the sale itself, and we had more than 100 folks participating online. I think we've heard that in the era of COVID, a lot of things will stick around afterwards, and I hope we get to afterwards soon. But a lot of things will stick around afterwards, and one of those is a lot of the video opportunities that exist. And so we're excited to see folks so supportive of our 4-H and FFA kids. The county has opened its first roundabouts. This is where I would normally duck if I were in person for fear of getting hit by tomatoes and sodas and coffees and that kind of thing. But trust me, roundabouts research incredibly well when it comes to traffic safety. Roundabouts keep the traffic moving. And at County Road 54, which is known also as Freedom Parkway, and at County Road 17, we have a great big one there for folks just north of Johnstown and who travel on 37th Avenue out of Evans in the Greeley area over to 402 in the I-25 area. We have a greatly improved traffic structure there that will facilitate the flow of a continuing growing county. Let's get on and talk just for a second about COVID-19 in Weld County. As we all know, Weld County took a couple of lumps at the beginning of this outbreak, and we did have some outbreaks. Now we are very pleased to announce that we think we have things incredibly well under control. We want to talk first about on August 13th, how we stood up kind of a new reporting portal. You can find it at weldhealth.org. It has greatly enhanced data online where you can see the exact impact on hospitals, to where you can see the exact cases, and you can see the testing counts each day. For example, over on this screen, I've just pulled up yesterday's report. We still stand at far too many, but 94 fatalities. That's just two since the beginning of June. Total number of COVID-19 hospitalizations in Weld County right now, 12 area hospitals that serve Weld County. There are only 21 patients. We wish them the best, but we are down to a very low number of 21. You compare that to 491 available hospital beds, and we feel like we have completely diminished the impact on our area hospitals. We're excited about that. We currently are at 42,559 tests in Weld County. Number of positive cases at 3,961. Again, case count is just an indicator. The hospitalization number is the one that we truly pay attention to, and we're excited to see that at just 21. One of the things that people look a lot about is the positivity rate on the tests. Currently, Weld County stands at a 2-week rolling average of 3.71%. Now, both the World Health Organization and the CDC put the 5% number in. Cross above that 5% threshold, they say that's when you really need to kind of go to a different level of action. We stand at 3.71% in Weld County, so we feel like the citizens of Weld County have done a good job with social distancing, with facial covering, and we're excited to see that number stay below 5%. So weldhealth.org is where that complete data set exists. We would encourage folks to take a look at it. And as always, I'm sjames@weldgov.com, and you can call me at 400-4209. I'd love to chat with you. Jamie, that's what I have for now. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thanks so much. Best driving tips for roundabouts. Keep moving, right? Just
keep moving. Stay to the right. Keep moving.
Exactly. Also want to thank both of our elected officials. You know, when they talk about comp plans and budget plans, they spend hours and hours poring over that information, and appreciate you both and all the time you give and time you spend in service to this community. So thank you for those updates, both Dale and Scott. Appreciate you both. We're going to go ahead and move on to our restaurant partners today and get some updates for them. Our next guest is Aimee Hutson, owner of both Aunt Helen's Coffee Shop and Jerry J's Cakes, and partner with a dozen downtown business owners who, with the help of the City Chamber and DDA, opened a new concept of outdoor dining to expand their businesses and draw more potential visitors. She's an amazing advocate on our board, and as our mayor, John Gates, recently said, the success of downtown often correlates to the success of the city. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Aimee, for your update about your restaurants and how you're all doing over there. I'll turn it to you.
Good morning, Jamie. Thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure. We definitely are feeling the impacts of COVID, as everybody is. Downtown is, with a lot of people working from home, as well as businesses not open, it hurts the day-to-day business. And then also, downtown tends to be kind of a destination. And so with a lot of events being canceled or going virtual, you know, that hurts the business, all of the businesses down here. So we kind of spoke, a few of us early in March. Matt was part of this from the very beginning, and kind of formed a group of business owners who wanted to offer a safe social distance environment for people so that they could feel confident and come downtown and enjoy, you know, what we have to offer. So it's both 8th and 9th Street plazas have been closed off, and it's available with no streets, no traffic, so that kids are able to run around, have fun. You can go from different locations if you want to. It's been pretty successful. We have a lot of live music on Tuesdays. There's Taco Tuesdays, and then I know Friday, Bricks has live music, and there's just been a lot of, you know, it just seems to be catching on, and people seem to be attending it more frequently. So what that does is it gets maybe people back downtown again, which is what we all needed. I think all of us can share the sentiment that we have good days and bad days, and we do appreciate the support. It is incredible. Jamie, you mentioned the Greeley grit earlier, and that is evident, and we see it as business owners, just the support, and the way people, you know, care so much about what we've got going on. something kind of exciting coming up is we are still going to, the DDA is still going to host the October Brew Fest in downtown, and that'll be September 9th, 10th, and 11th. And we will have live music. Obviously, we'll have it out on the plazas. There'll be polka tap takeovers at several of the bars. We at Jerry J's will be providing fresh pretzels. We'll have some German food. So we will still have this event and see how it goes. It'll be a scaled down version, but it should be a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll bring people back downtown to what, as Mayor Gates said, should be the hub of our city.
Yeah, wonderful, Aimee. Thank you for the updates and exciting news about some opportunities to connect coming down the road. Our next guest is Matt Larson, and as you know, the Chamber supports our downtown businesses, but we also support businesses all over the Greeley area. So Matt is a little further outside downtown and wanted some of his perspective today. He is the owner with his wife, Leona, of Kenny's Restaurant and the lead on building the new Goat Sports Bar here in Greeley by the Homewood Suites. Matt has also served on the Greeley Chamber and is part of the Colorado Restaurant Association. Help us welcome Matt today. We're happy to have you on, Matt, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Good morning, Jamie. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate being here. So yeah, I would just kind of like to talk a little bit about what we're doing to get through all this. It's been very challenging times. There's no playbook with this whole thing, and uncertainty is, I think, the buzzword. The keys for us are really, adapting every day, just trying to, every day is different. And I think we need to be flexible. We have to make tough choices. The labor situations are hard. We've had to, early on, we laid off people. We brought them back on. But there's still tough choices that remain out there. Communication, that's another big key that we're having to work through. Every day, we have to talk to our people. Things are changing on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and we're just trying to be as flexible as we can with those things. And that also includes morale boosting. And you tend to get down. I think we all, as business owners, we lay awake in the middle of the night, kind of thinking about how we're going to get through this and what the next month looks like, what the next year looks like. And so there needs to be a lot of talking, a lot of communication, and just really boosting our morale. So, I think another key is using your resources. We're fortunate to have the Colorado Restaurant Association as a resource, the National Restaurant Association, and of course our local Chamber of Commerce has been awesome. So we get a lot of correspondence and emails and information from all those agencies, kind of guiding us and leading us during these tough times. So right now, what we really need is we need to kind of get back to full capacity. We know that's a long ways off, and maybe not until we get a vaccine, but that's what we need. So we have a ways to go before we get there. And for me in particular, we're not just a restaurant at Kenny's, but we are a large catering operation. So we're kind of known for catering pretty large events. I'm talking 200, 500, 1,000 people. So we've missed out on all those this year. And so we're kind of adapting there as well. We're getting a lot of smaller events right now, which is helpful. Another interesting thing is we're starting to see some virtual events for fundraisers. This past weekend, for example, we had the Summer Fest, which is the fundraiser for the Greeley Family House, and they did a virtual event with the comedy, and they had house parties, so people could host house parties of 10, but there was a food component, a food package, and we delivered close to 20 different house parties on Saturday night. So we're doing those things just to kind of keep business, keep revenue coming in the door, because that's what we really need right now. Just a little bit on advocacy with the Restaurant Association. We're still kind of waiting to see what a second round of PPP would look like for everybody. I know there's discussion over the threshold of what that would be as far as loss of business over last year, And originally they were talking about 50%, which most restaurants will not qualify for that, but yet restaurants are still struggling. So we really need to be closer to 20% for certain restaurants to be able to qualify and be able to stay in business. The National Restaurant Association is working on a recovery plan very diligently, and so we're kind of just waiting to see what that looks like. And that's about all I have right now.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Thank you so much for your leadership. There are no easy decisions for leaders during this time and no roadmap, as you mentioned. One of the things we're going to be doing is expanding one of our industry roundtables for the group who is on the call today. And so I think that's proven for the chamber to be a great chance to share in a safe environment and to really find those things that we can do and collaborate on. So we'll look forward to doing that with all of you and hearing a little more about how we can help. So thank you for being on this morning. Our final guest today, before we introduce Rich, is going to be Matt Estrin, founder of Tower 56 Distilling. And one of the reasons we love Matt, a recent graduate of our Leadership Weld County class, we're actually registering right now. So we're going to take that to everyone digitally and find a chance to create that next generation of leaders. So if you want to talk to Matt about that, I'm sure he'd talk to you about his experience. But not only is he an entrepreneur and taking on another dream, but Matt also is pivoting right now. We appreciate him for everything, including his positivity and great big smile and engagement with our organization. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Matt.
Yeah, thanks. And honored to be on this call with so many incredible people. Matt Larson is a huge pillar for restaurants and bars and entertainment in our community. And Aimee and Bob are good friends of mine, and we've kind of been in the trenches together downtown, and so pretty honored to be on this call with everybody. And then Councilman Hall, who has been instrumental in also helping get that downtown open consumption street closure happening with our city council. So a lot of incredible people on this call that have been so instrumental at keeping the Greeley grid alive, as you kind of mentioned, and so I feel very honored. As far as business goes, it's been a wild ride, as Matt mentioned. It seems like just about every day we're having to deal with some new ordinance or some new law or something that the governor has passed that we have to now figure out how to navigate around. It seems that in our industry, we kind of ebb and flow as regulations increase or decrease. And so as you saw, hopefully this last Saturday, the governor extended the last call time to 11 o'clock from 10 o'clock. We instantly felt that in our tasting room as people were more confident to go out. So hopefully, as Scott mentioned, as cases seem to be dwindling down, as numbers seem to be getting better, it seems like maybe some of these regulations are going to be peeled back, and that will continue to give confidence to consumers to go out, to enjoy some of the incredible restaurants and bars and coffee shops and all the great things that Greeley has to offer. The last few months have been crazy as a business. We've had to really, really pivot. We do about 80% of our revenue through our tasting room, meaning our cocktail sales, operating as a craft cocktail bar. And about 20% of our revenue has gone from bottle sales. As a manufacturing business, we have the arm of our business where we sell bottles directly to customers, and we also sell bottles to liquor stores and restaurants. And so we've really had to pivot and rely pretty heavily on our bottle sales. And so it's been interesting to see as a business, our revenue in our tasting room for cocktail sales is down about 40%. But our bottle sales through our distribution and through direct sales to customers is up about 180%. So we've kind of flipped the script as a business, really focused pretty hard on bottle sales. And that's been pretty interesting. So our plan now is to continue to do what we call one-off releases, which is about 250 individual bottles that are kind of one-off creative releases. This last week, we just released a Cocoa Barrel chocolate-flavored whiskey. We're getting ready to do a peach whiskey. We've got an orange flavored whiskey on the way. We're going to do a candy corn vodka for Halloween, which I think is totally disgusting, but people seem to like that stuff. And so we're just going to continue to be as creative as we can, continue to try to sell bottles on that end. You mentioned the other business. Literally 2 weeks before the shutdown happened, we signed a lease on a building downtown in the Florio shoe store for Greeley's first axe throwing bar. So it's a hatchet throwing bar like a bowling alley, but instead of rolling a ball down a lane, you throw a hatchet at a target. They're totally fun. They're all around the country. And so we decided to try to bring one to Greeley. Fortunately for us, our landlord had quite a bit of work that she had to get done before we could get in there. And so when the shutdown happened, it really delayed her, which is a business, kept us from putting money into a business that wouldn't be running. But we're grateful that she has really started to get her piece of the project done. And I'd say we're about 2 or 3 weeks away from on our end starting the renovation, and hoping that our renovation takes about a month to a month and a half. And so somewhere October, November-ish, we hope to have Greeley's first axe throwing bar open. It's called the Greeley Hatchet House. It'll be right there in downtown Greeley in the old Florio shoe store. And it's totally safe. That's the first question everybody has. Am I going to get hit with an axe in the back of the head? And only if you throw like Scott over there, then you might. But the rest of us, we'd probably make it happen pretty well. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
The real connective tissue with the 3 of these restaurateurs you see on the call today is especially the fact that they're expanding in Greeley. Not only do they love Greeley and have presented offerings that everyone collectively loves, but they are doing additional concept and reaching out. So thank you for everything all 3 of you do. Thank you for hanging in there and leading. And the other thing you'll hear is advocacy. So don't forget that from an individual, an elected, or organizational aspect, all of us can do a lot to advocate for new ways they're trying to move through this and succeed. So thank you all for all the work you're doing there. We'll have a few questions for you here in a moment. And our final guest today is President and CEO of Upstate, Colorado, Rich Werner. Rich has had 14 years of experience in leading economic development, and most recently here in Greeley. Today, he's going to give us an update on this next leg of the Economic Recovery Relay, where we are at the Greeley Area Recovery Fund, handing the baton to he and the county to help our local businesses with federal dollars and a new fund that they're just beginning right around the corner. So we'll look forward to hearing more about that, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Rich.
Thanks, Jamie, and good morning to everybody. You know, when you talk about this connective tissue, I'm thinking back to the last large public event that I went to before the shutdown, and that was the Upstate Colorado annual meeting, which was catered by Kenny's first and foremost, and very importantly, and then one of our featured speakers was Aimee, who talked about how we partnered with her establishment to offer what back in the day was called a normal loan to help them get established. So when this shutdown happened, there was just a tremendous response at all levels of government. And I know some of our businesses were able to take advantage of federal assistance, but most importantly with the Greeley Area Recovery Fund, which was stood up very quickly with the help of a lot of different partners to provide that kind of immediate relief. As we saw this bearing out in different ways, there were extensive discussions on how to provide assistance for the long term. And so as additional federal funds became available and companies were able to take advantage of the EIDL loans and PPP, we then moved into the CARES Act funding. And through work with not only, of course, Weld County, but all of the local city managers and council members across Weld County, we're able to stand up an additional recovery fund, which we will be launching this week, which will provide grants to businesses with the goal to aid businesses that have demonstrated any type of financial stress or disruption of operations due to this crisis, to help them, you know, costs associating with reopening, staying open, and or modifying their business operations or their facilities to serve customers in a safe way. Not only will this grant be available to businesses, but it will also allow for nonprofit business assistance organizations who have had expenses in aiding the business community to apply for the grant as well. This grant and the guidelines have been set through a lot of different discussions with a lot of different parties. We will be doing a sliding scale for businesses based on employees. So as an example, the baseline will be 1 to 10 employees will be eligible for reimbursement of expenses up to $10,000. And then going forward from there, those grants will go up to 25,000. So 11 to 25 employees will be eligible for 15,000, 26 to 50, 20,000, and then companies with employees of 50 or more will be eligible for up to 25,000. The guidelines for this are created to make sure, first and foremost, this is a Weld County business receiving assistance from Weld County and the communities that are participating. So the requirements are very loose to make sure that if they've had an expense, that expense will be eligible for reimbursement. I will always throw the caveat on there, because there have been different assistance programs, that it needs to be an expense that has not already been supported. So as I tell business owners who've already asked about the program, if they've received assistance from the Greeley Area Recovery Fund or from a federal PPP or EIDL loan, though, you know, if they submitted expenses for April and May, then submit expenses for June and July, please. So we don't have that kind of double dipping in on federal money. The other aspect of this as we get ready to launch is that this is not a first come, first serve loan. This is, or grant, I should say, I apologize. This is a program that will be open for 30 days. We will collect all of the applications. They will be logged and graded based on need, and then and again, geography, but most importantly, we want to make sure that they're a Weld business, and the Weld businesses are getting support. So after those 30 days, we anticipate we will have checks go out soon thereafter. So our deadline will most likely be September 30th. With checks going out in the early part of October. And that's kind of the basic summary, and I'll leave it at that and be happy to answer any questions as we go.
Sounds good. I will just ask you if you're looking for information about Rich's fund. Rich and I will be working together to make sure that the Chamber's resource page, where you've found some of those COVID resources all along, will be updated with this information, as will the Greeley Area Recovery Fund website, so that you can find more and be navigated over to that fund. So thanks for all you're doing there, Rich, and thanks to you and the county for being great partners and moving the needed funds ahead. I know there's still a need out there. We see that in the calls we take every day and in the messages of the people on this call. So thank you for what you're doing there. We're going to go ahead and move into some questions for the people who are on the call today, because I think one of the most valuable things has been really lessons learned through some of these moments we weren't expecting. They say one of the best things you can do for your personal growth is to develop an inquisitive mind. Put simply, the more questions you're willing to ask, the more answers you receive, the more you grow. And I think that's something we've found with these chamber coffees. So thanks to all of you for being on, and we look forward to learning from you this morning. Let me first say, for the restaurateurs and distillery partners on the call, you all deserve so much respect. These business owners you see here today, they're creative risk takers, they're hardworking. They're why myself and my team choose to work at the Chamber, because it takes guts, and we want to be on your team and help support you. For all of you, what have you learned from your biggest risks and failures, some of which you took right now? How did you overcome that adversity and doubt? And as my friend Chalice says, the messy middle is where the good stuff comes from. So if you can talk today a little bit about your lessons learned, we'd love to learn from you. And I'll throw it out. There's nobody needs to necessarily go first, but don't be shy. So.
Okay, well, I'll go first. You know, I think fear of failure is a real thing. But the way I kind of get through it is, you know, I think it's all about hard work, integrity, and just really caring about your people, your customers, your employees, and just doing the right thing every day, all the time. And I think that you'll overcome failure.
Well said.
Yeah, I would say a couple of things that we really leaned into pretty heavy. One was over communicating to our customer base. We took the platform of Facebook Live pretty seriously. We did Facebook Live videos in the middle of the shutdown. We did a Facebook Live video almost every day, just saying, here's what we're doing today. We miss you. We love you. Come support us. And then as you walk down the road, we actually had a staff member test positive for COVID about a month and a half ago, which gave us an additional 14-day shutdown. But even in that, we decided we want to be as over communicative as possible, and tell people, here's what's going on, here's why we're not open, here's what, here's, really kind of laying out what it all was. And we've heard more and more about how grateful people have been that we've been so open and honest and communicating to our customer base. And then also realizing and being very humbled by the fact that that we rely on people and individuals in the community, and the community has stepped up in an incredible way. And so just showing as much appreciation towards the people in our community that are willing to support our businesses and continue to spend money and be a part of what we're doing.
Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Jamie, I guess I would like to say that whenever I found that there was something going terribly wrong with what I was doing, it wasn't something that I necessarily was doing. It was the way it happened, and we're in it together rather than thinking it's always just about me. And I think we need to just simply sit back and take a deep breath and say we'll get out of this, but it's not coming down just because of who you are, but it's becoming something that we all have to deal with, and we'll work through it.
Yeah, the me to we mentality is pretty important right now, and communication's nothing we're ever going to get great at, right? But we can all work a little harder at it. So those are certainly lessons learned among all of us. In a time where there's so much adversity for your team, I know several of you mentioned your teams, you need to keep them hustling, motivated, because without them as a leader, you're stuck. So how are you leading your teams during this time, and how are you keeping your fans and clients engaged? And I think this question is for our business owners, elected officials, anyone on this call, because you're all leaders. So I'll pitch that out to the team as well.
I think some of the things that we've done here at Aunt Helen's is trying to make sure, as well as like Matt Estrin was stating, communicate with your customer base, is also communicating with our staff. We have a couple of platforms on social media that we use that are just with our staff, and we do a lot of shout outs and doing everything we can to keep them motivated and wanting to come to work, because it's tough at times when we'll be used to being very slow, and then all of a sudden we have a busy day, a great day, and everybody kind of forgot what they were doing. So it's been kind of challenging for our staff. So we'll do everything we can to keep them motivated and wanting to be at work every day, as well as, again, thanking our customers for, having the confidence to come in and to visit Aunt Helen's. It's just so important that they understand that we care about their safety just as much as they do.
Absolutely. Any other lessons learned on leading your team through some adversity and finding a new way?
Take juggling lessons. I find it helpful.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Always good. Anybody else have anything to add on that?
I think there's a bit of faith involved in a priority for making sure your team is taken care of. Early on, when this all happened, the first day I had to call my entire team and say, I don't know what tomorrow looks like, but I know we're not going to be open for business, and so hang tight. And early on, it was my hope and my priority that I could keep my entire team employed. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, to be honest. It was kind of one of those, like, I'm going to try to do this, and it may sink my business, but I'm going to, something's going to happen. And sure enough, the business stayed open through bottle sales. The government, provided the PPP money. The local Greeley Area Recovery Fund provided some grants. And so there was a bit of a faith element involved of, I really want to make sure my team is taken care of. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's a priority for me. And so we're going to make it work. And so far, so good. So
there was a real thought leadership movement going on about vulnerability and transparency. And I think leaders are always expected to kind of show the way, but I think it's really important for them to be honest too and say, I don't always know the way. And so I think that's been a good component of what we're all kind of going through, is a little bit of honesty that the leaders are figuring it out too. So, yeah. Final question to all of you. How do you plan on growing and changing your business? I know you've had to pivot really hard to make sure that new menus and limited menus and things are out on your websites and signage. And how are you adjusting your approach with recent challenges when you're looking at the next couple of months, knowing we don't really have a roadmap for it? I'd be curious to hear your plans there and how you're finding some success with some of that.
Well, I think I'll go first, I guess. I think, right now we've created a different way we work. And we're going to probably carry a lot of those practices with us into the next year, as far as overhead and labor costs. And when you're in the restaurant industry, there's a lot of buzzwords: food costs, labor costs, supply costs, liquor costs. You got to keep all those things down, but you don't want to compromise on quality food, service, or cleanliness. So I think we're doing that better than we ever have before, because we have to. And I think that'll just become kind of a staple moving forward of how we do things. I think one of the last things I wanted to say was, if we can just get through this, 2021 is going to be an incredible bounce back year for all of us. So I think that's the goal, and that's the motivation to just keep working hard.
Well said, Matt. Absolutely. Any other things you want to add in terms of kind of how you're pivoting your business or changing up your plan as you move forward for Matt or for Aimee?
Jamie, I know that the city has gone to a lot of online programs and these Zoom type of meetings. I think it can be a good and a bad thing. I think it does a lot of good to be able to sit in the same room and judge the body types and whatever's being thrown out as far as getting information from someone. But if it's just a quick 10-15 minute type of a meeting, I think the Zoom meetings have a lot of influence, and we can get things done easier than that. And I think even in the commercial world, I've bought things now I bought things now at Lowe's, and I've had them delivered out to my car. So it's kind of like, well, you don't really go inside anymore, and you can have things done that way too. So there's some options that are being created to continue to work through this whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of adaptation, no question.
Yeah, to that end, on our side, I mentioned we've leaned pretty heavy into our creative mindset and trying to come up with as many just outside the box bottle releases as possible. We've probably got about another 10 releases between now and the end of the year, and so we're gonna work pretty hard on the bottle release piece of it. But to Councilman Hall's point, we're also leaning into some of the things positive things that have happened because of all this. And for us, a big part of that is cocktails to go, which has never been a thing in our state. And so now you can walk in and get a Living Legend or a Sour Sam and put it in a cup, and you can take it home and drink it at home. And so now we have an online store that you can get on and purchase cocktails online, and we'll have it ready for you when you get there. You got to buy Cheez-Its, though. You have to buy some food with that. But yeah, we're going to continue to walk down that road. We've kind of thrown our calendar out. No more planning for the rest of the year because we have no idea what tomorrow looks like. But we do know there are some things that we can do, like bottle sales, to-go cocktails, things like that will carry us through the next few months. And I agree, 2021, can't wait for 2021.
Positivity on this show is welcome today. We need to join you in that, and there is a lot of good to come, no question. Any other comments before I wrap the show today?
I'll just wrap up and say that, first of all, every one of these pivots that I've heard about today, whether it be menus or changing product lines, all of those costs, all eligible expenses for this new grant program. But in all seriousness, you just keep hearing about the resiliency of our businesses, and that goes for restaurants and it goes for offices such as myself, and how the staff has pivoted and still works to do their job every day. And I think, Matt, you said it great. When you're looking at your number one concern being how do you keep your employees on staff, So many businesses have been able to do that. And I think as we go forward, we just want to continue to help provide assistance in any way we can to the innovations that all of you are creating. So we look forward to doing that.
Jimmy, if I can hop in with something final here. I like to try to go for walks when I can. And Saturday morning, I'm out going for a walk, and I look down from where I live in Johnstown, kind of down into the Little Thompson River Valley, and I see nothing but smoke, haze. And it kind of dawned on to me that not only is that haze physical, but it's a little bit metaphorical. It is up to us in a COVID era, an era of unrest, an era of political insanity, to try to be able to provide clarity. So everything we can do is, as business owners, everything we can do as community leaders, to communicate with intention and to communicate with clarity is what consumers and citizens look for from us. So the clearer we can be in our messages, the more creative that we can be in our offerings to our clients. I know that Tuesdays are big things around the James House because we've created a new tradition called Takeout Tuesday. So we'll stop by an area restaurant, we'll pick up takeout to go. Of course, that augments Takeout Wednesday, Takeout Thursday, Takeout Friday, Takeout. But at the same time, it gives us something to look forward to as a family, and hopefully is a way that we can stimulate business for people. So we need to be creative with our ideas. We need to communicate with clarity and intention, and collectively, we can hopefully lift the haze off our community created by stuff that's outside of our control.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. I want to remind you that the business owners on the show today are to be commended for their toughness, their love of Greeley. Hang in there. We're with you. If there's anything you need, please reach out to the chamber. I want to commend the elected officials on the show today for all their advocacy every step of the way for these businesses. Our town really loves business, and we're grateful for that. And I want to thank Rich for the steps forward in the county on the fund and providing those dollars for our businesses who are still needing it. So we will be here and we'll be a resource, and we hope you take care of each other until we see you again on Common Ground. So thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it all. Thanks for being on.